Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Augustine Kosidia, popularly known as Don AKD, and in this video I would like to show you an in-depth tutorial on NotebookLM and how we can effectively use this tool as medical students. So in my previous videos, in my Study Smarter Not Harder series, we talked about how NotebookLM was one tool in our four-step tech stack, whereby we were talking about using NotebookLM, ChatGPT, Craft, and Anki to be able to build a workflow moving from all the resources that we have to study from through to understanding, organization, memorization, and long-term retention. Now, through a lot of research, I've been able to see how we can effectively use only Notebook to be able to achieve all these three stages of learning. Now, just to recap, we know that we have this thing which is called the messy desk syndrome. And the messy desk syndrome basically means that we have a lot of resources to study from as medical students. Word, brown notes, slides, other PDFs, WhatsApp notes, etc. Just a lot of resources to study from when it comes to medicine. And so we find out that when we don't have an actual system to be able to handle everything, it just leads to chaos and it leads to a lot of pressure come exams time, leading to cramming. That's why in my previous videos I talked about the need to be able to build an external database and then effectively transfer all the resources into that external database, and then most importantly transfer information from the external database into our internal database, which is brain, such that we can be able to perform on the wards and in our exams. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you how we can build that whole external database for our studies using only one tool called NotebookLM. So, if you are ready, let's jump right into it. So, the first thing that you want to do is to be able to download NotebookLM. Now, I already have NotebookLM downloaded, but I'm going to show you step by step how you can get. So, first of all, you go any browser. I prefer using the Chrome browser since this is Google's AI and it usually works well with other Google services. So you can also use the Edge browser, but then I just prefer using the Chrome browser. So you search for Notebook LM and then you click on the first website, right? Or the first web link, and it takes you to the website. You can read all about Notebook LM here, but essentially Notebook LM is Google's steady AI, whereby you can upload sources into it, ask it questions, and then the output or the answers that it gives you are grounded on your sources. So it doesn't hallucinate, it doesn't go outside of your sources to go and give you answers. The answers that it's giving you are based on the sources that you have. So as a medical student, you are inputting your slides, your PowerPoints, your PDFs, and other things into Notebook and asking it questions. And then the answers that it's giving you are coming directly from your sources. And then here, you can also use it to do research. So you can search online for different sources based on your topic, input that into NotebookLM, and then NotebookLM can be able to give you answers based on that sources. So if you have about 100 different research papers to look through, you don't need to do that on your own. NotebookLM can do that for you. And so many use cases. But today, we are talking about how we can use it in medical school studies. So once you're on the website, you click on try notebook and then effectively it's going to download it for you. All you need is just your Google account and everything just sets up right away. Now you can check the plans on their website. So you can use Notebook LM for free and it is very good. The only problem is that you are limited to 50 sources per notebook. Now, for most people, that is more than enough. But then for what we'll be doing, 50 sources is quite limiting. And so we would want to go up to the next tier, not to these higher tiers, but just above the free tier to this next tier, which is Notebook LM Plus, whereby we can get 100 sources per notebook. And I'll show you why we want to get that. And so once we have that, we can start out the free tier. And then as time goes on, we move to the paid tier. You can read all about Notebook LM here, but essentially we are just going to come back and then enter into our Notebook LM. This is Notebook LM. So when you have Notebook, the website, you can actually click on a button and then save it as an app like this. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if I'm here and I click here and I come back to the Notebook LM website, let me use a new Google account so that I can show everything starting all the way from scratch. So now this is a new Google account. When I come to NotebookLM and I try NotebookLM and I install it, basically I'm going to open the NotebookLM website right now. There is this button at the top here which says install NotebookLM. So when you press on it, you can effectively install NotebookLM as an app. I already have it, but that's how you can do it. You can also press on the three buttons at the upper right corner, come to cast, save and share, and then install it as an app. So that's how you can install any website as an app. It's going to use data and or internet connection, but then just installing it as an app is just nicer since it looks better than a normal website. So this is a notebook which I created using a new Gmail account. Let me effectively delete these notebooks which don't have anything inside so that I show you how, as a newcomer, you are going to be seeing NotebookLM. So, by the way, this is my actual NotebookLM account, which I'll be demonstrating things inside. But then I want to show you how Notebook is going to appear for you as a beginner. So it says, welcome to NotebookLM. You can create notebooks from here. And these are featured notebooks. Basically, notebooks from all around the world. And from the icon here, it is a public notebook that anyone can enter into. So, in fact, let me use the public notebooks as an example, which is the easiest way to check it out. So let me say this notebook is on economy, right? Globalization since 1997. I click on it. So when I click on this notebook, this is a public notebook, as I said, so anyone can access it. And we are going to use this notebook to show how NotebookLM works like. So when I click on it, this is how it's going to appear like. Now, in the public notebooks, they have these icons or cover pages, but in the normal notebooks, you will not find it. Essentially, we are going to have sources. So as you can see here, there are a lot of sources inputted right here into this notebook. So these sources are your source materials or your resources. You put them here into NotebookLM, be it PowerPoint slides, PDFs, whatever it is, and then you ask NotebookLM questions in the chat box. This is a summary of the whole notebook. So it is going to give you a summary based on all the sources. This is how you can change the title of a notebook. You can't because this is a public notebook. And this on the right side is your studio panel, whereby you can store your audios, videos, flashcards, quizzes, and all of that. Now, this is a public notebook. You can't change things. But then let me just create a new notebook right now and show you what it's like. So when you press on create new notebook, it's going to come like this, and then you are going to input your sources inside. So I don't have any sources right now, but then I'm just going to show you around. Here it says create audios and videos from YouTube's and other videos, right? And then other things. So when you press here, you can upload files from your your PC. When you press here, you can upload YouTube links and also websites. The only thing is that they have to be public videos, and then it will actually just take the transcript. But then you can actually watch a YouTube video right here into NotebookLM. And so the other thing before we continue is that, as I said, we are effectively going to do everything into NotebookLM. And so with just NotebookLM, we can do every single thing that we need to do with respect to studying, understanding, organization, memorization, all in one. So NotebookLM right now, through a lot of updates and also the research that I was able to do by God's grace, has actually been an N or B or app, such that with one app we can do everything, and you can build a steady system right here. So you can insert websites and YouTube links, and as I said, you can click on YouTube videos and watch YouTube videos right here in NotebookLM. You can have this as your Google Drive and insert files from your Google Drive. And then you can also insert copied text. So any text you can insert it right there and it becomes a source. Here is where you can do research. So supposing you don't have sources on your PC, or you don't have sources from YouTube or elsewhere, you can put in a research topic or any topic or anything into NotebookLM, and then tell NotebookLM to go and search for sources for you. So if, let's say, I'm doing literature review and I put, let's say, a topic like, just a brief topic like KAP on waste disposal in Ghana, right? I don't have sources for this. I can tell NotebookLM go online and search for sources for me. So when you press on this button, it means that NotebookLM should go online and set them for you, or it should take them from your Google Drive. When you press on this button, it will do fast research or deep research for you. Fast research, as the name implies, is just going to give you quick results. Deep research is actually going to do them in depth. So when I press on deep research, I can press on this button. Also, you can drop any sources that you want into Notebook. The only caveat is that Notebook can't take PowerPoint. So if you have a PowerPoint, like a Microsoft PowerPoint, I'll show you a way by which we can convert that Microsoft PowerPoint into a usable source, whereby we can input that into NotebookLM. So let me just press on this button. NotebookLM is now going to go online and then search for resources based on the topic for me. It's doing deep research, and so that's how it's going to be. It's going to take some time. And so it's even telling me feel free to leave. So now here is where you put in your sources, and your sources will appear here, whether PDFs, whether PowerPoint if you've converted them, whether pictures, video links from YouTube, copied text. You can have all those sources right here. This is a chat pane whereby you can chat with NotebookLM here, and then when you've uploaded your resources, you can chat here. And this is your studio. So you can have your studio output, you understand, audios, videos, mind maps, reports, flashcards, quizzes, infographics, slide decks, and table. These are all outputs which can help in your studies. So you can create podcasts and you can listen to them on the go. You can create videos and watch. You can create mind maps to see pictorial representation of the whole topic. You can create flashcards to test your understanding, quizzes to basically do the same, infographics, basically like a one-page flyer, slide decks. So if you are having a presentation, a PBL presentation, any other presentation that you have to do, you can input sources and NotebookLM will create slide decks for you without having you to go on Canva or Adobe or any other place. And then you can create data tables based on your sources. So now a new update that Google launched was Add Note. So this wasn't there in my previous video, but now essentially we can add notes into NotebookLM. So when studying, I can type things that I feel like are important. Maybe anything that I'm studying, I can type it. It's not as robust actual specific notebook taking apps like Notion or Craft or even Google Docs, but for just basic writing down stuff is good enough. You can change bold, italic, and then you can number and all of that. So you can also name your notebook or name your notes. So let's say I name this as testing, and then let's say I say this is Officer Boy. So that's my note. And then when I go back, it's going to come here like this. So this is how outputs look like. So whenever you save an output, it's going to appear here. And then you can also click on the button beside it to either download an output for audios and videos. So you can download it onto your device. And so if you don't have an internet connection, you can still listen to the audio and the video at another time. You can convert it to Google Docs if it's like a note like this. You can convert it to Google Sheets. You can, do a lot of things and even take outputs and input them as sources. So I'll show you all of that. At the top here, you can change the name of your notebook, or you can go click on the home button and then press this button and then edit your notebook. So you can change the name of the notebook and also you can change the icon. So if I come here, let me change the name of my notebook to testing. And so you can see that this is the name of my notebook, testing. You can change the icon. So if I come here and I press this, I can effectively change the icon. Seems like I have to get at least one source before I can change the icon. So now my deep research has been completed. Hooray. And so I can actually view it and see all the sources that it was able to come up with respect to knowledge, attitude, practices regarding solid waste disposal. So it is going to give me all the resources that it was able to come up with, and then I can effectively input all of them. So I can import all of these resources and then I'm going to create a notebook. So before I enter into my own notebook element and show you, this is, by the way, just testing to show you how notebook is like. So again, you can press on this button and input sources, and you can see here that you are limited with the number of sources that you can input. So I now have 100 sources, but then on your own version it's going to be 50 if you start out the free tier. The reason why I have 100 is that I have the paid version, which you can see by this button. And so with the paid version, I can input more sources. So if I'm doing research, if I'm doing anything whereby I need to put more than 50 sources, the paid version is the way to go. And I'll show you the paid version and everything about it, and how you can effectively even have all of Notebook's LM's things for less than $1. So when you press on this button, you can hide the sources panel. When you press on this button, you can hide the studio output and only focus on the chat pane. Now, when it is done inputting the sources, you see that there will be a check mark by all the sources. Sometimes some of the sources might not be able to input, and so you see that there is going to be an icon that it has filled. The best thing to do is just to re-upload the source again, or if it's behind a paywall, let's say it's a paid website, at that point in time you can't really input it again. So you have to just copy the text. Whilst it's inputting, let's go over the other buttons in NotebookLM. So you can create a new notebook here. This analytics is not for everyone, it's for those who are on the plus tier. Basically, when you share your notebook with other people, they give you statistics on whether how many people are using it, how many queries are they asking in a day, and all of that. When you press on this share button, you can share your notebook with other people. So you can type their email, or you can have your notebook with a link. So if you press anyone with a link and you save it and then you click on the share button again, effectively, if you send this link to other people, they can also come into your notebook. You can show how much access they have, whether full notebook or chat. Chat, as the name implies, is just a chat window. So they don't see the other parts of the notebook, but it's just best to share a full notebook. You can also add a welcome note to the notebook when you share it. So now effectively, it has been able to input all the sources. It was able to input 39 out of the 40 or so sources. As you can see, these two sources were not able to be uploaded. And so most of the time, if they are not able to be uploaded, it probably means that it's behind a paywall, or I just need to add it again. So I can just click on one button and remove all the failed resources. Now I have all the sources in my notebook. And so when I press on any source, I can enter inside. So when you press on a source, NotebookLM is going to give you a source guide, basically a summary on that source, and then it's also going to give you buttons. Now, whenever you see any buttons in NotebookLM, effectively it means that you can jump inside and explain more. So when you see this button, solid waste management, anything here, you can press on it and then you discuss that thing with NotebookLM. Here I can read about this source. So again, instead of going to search for this source online, NotebookLM has done that for me. And per the questions that I asked it, NotebookLM will extract important information for me without me having to read this whole source by myself. When you press here, you can come back. Again, let's say I wanted to read this source, press on it, and I can effectively read this source in NotebookLM. And so this is how you can read sources right here in the app. And when you have converted it into the PowerPoint format that I'll show you, you can effectively read your slides in NotebookLM without moving to any other app. So there is this button at the top here beside the name of your source. When you press on it, it will open a tab in a web browser such that you can read the source as a website. So if it's a PowerPoint slide, you can read the whole PowerPoint slide online. If it's a source like this, you can come and read it here. So if you are not able to read the source here, or let's say this pane is too small for you, or you just want to read it better, you can just press on that button. So now that's about sources, right? You can press on the button beside them and then rename the source if you want. So now when you put sources into NotebookLM, it's going to give you a summary based on everything. And then you can start to type inside and ask it questions. So when you ask NotebookLM questions, the output that it gives you, you see some numbers beside them. That shows you in-text citation, basically telling you where that output is coming from per your sources. And I'll show you more on that later. Now, the rest of the app is quite self-explanatory. When you press on the settings button, not a lot of settings can you change here, apart from basically the light mode or dark mode. So if you want it in dark mode, you can do that. I usually like dark mode, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to keep it at light mode. And then you press here. This button allows you to access the whole Google ecosystem. So Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Keep, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and all of that. And then here is effectively your account. Now, there are two more buttons that we want to talk about in NotebookLM, which are very crucial. This button allows you to basically delete a chat history. So if you've chat in NotebookLM, you can click on that button to delete a chat history. And then this button is very important. Allows you to configure the chat. Basically, make NotebookLM into what you want it to be. So if you just keep it on default, the answers that is going to give you are default, right? Not bad, but they are not specific. If you put it on learning guide again, it's going to be the same. What you want to put it is at custom. At custom, you can tell NotebookLM to be, as I said, what you want it to be. So let's say you want NotebookLM to be your clinical surgery or clinical medicine tutor. You want NotebookLM to act as a consultant. You want NotebookLM to act as an examiner. Basically, anything that you want NotebookLM to be, you can input it right here. So you just type what you want it to be. What this means is that whenever you ask NotebookLM a question, it's going to act like that. This is a configuration, basically universal prompt. So it's how NotebookLM should think. And so I'll show you how I've been able to adapt it into my studies, such that when I ask just a simple question like teach me pneumonia, NotebookLM is not just going to give me any sort of random output, but it's actually going to give me the output in a well organized and systematic fashion. So that's the importance of configure notebook. And one thing is that Google recently released an update. You see here we have 10,000, I think it's 10,000 letters or characters or words. I'm not really sure, but it used to be only about 200. And so you couldn't really customize it, to your liking. You can just type like a few sentences and then it's done. But then right now we have about 10,000 characters, and so we can actually type as much as we want here. So we can be as specific as we want it. With every AI, garbage in, garbage out. So the more specific you are, the better your response is going to be. You can change the response length. For me, I keep it at longer so that I have in-depth explanations. The same goes for your audios, your videos, your flashcards, and all. If you just click on generate flashcards, it's going to generate any number of flashcards for you or generate any length of the audio for you. And then sometimes they might not even be talking about the particular places you want them to be talking about. So when you press on this pencil icon, you can configure the audio such that you can tell them to focus on this, focus on that. You understand? You can show or tell them how long you want the audio to be like, how in-depth you want it to be. So you can change it from short to default to long. I keep it at long, I keep it at deep dive. Same thing for the videos. So if you press on a video, you can keep it at explainer or brief and then give it a prompt such that the AI who should focus on this. You can also change how the video looks like. When you press on quiz, the same. You can tell it set more questions, set this number of questions, focus on this, focus on that. Same thing for the flashcards. And so I have prompts whereby I just do copy and paste. And so I can be able to like just regenerate the same prompt over and over and over with just simple copy and paste. And then it's able to give me the particular way that I want my questions to be like. Same thing for the slide deck. If you just press on slide deck, it's going to just generate anything for you. But now you want it to focus on maybe make it more colorful, make it have more pictures, do this, do that. Maybe have 15 slides or have 10 slides. Like of that can be customized to your liking when you come here. So it's very important that you just press on any of the studio outputs. You actually take time to configure it and put in a prompt such that it's going to be specific. So now, yeah, I mean, effectively, we've been able to go through the whole notebook interface. such that we've been able to see all the buttons, how to create a notebook, and how to configure the notebook itself. Now let me just press on one button to show you how the output is like. So let me say I press on this source, and then I press on this solid weight management. So it's going to say discuss solid weight management from that button that I press on. I could have also typed this, but it's like something that NotebookLM has already suggested for you based on the source. So now you see that it is generating. Here you can see that the sources have been selected. All of them have been selected. So you can see 39. When all the sources are selected, it means that the answer that is giving you discuss solid waste management is coming from all of these sources. You understand? But if I want it to only come from just this one source, I'll deselect them and then press on only this source. Now it's only going to come from one source. Same thing when you're looking at the output, it's only going to generate on one source. So if you want it to come from all the sources, you can do that. If you want it to come from only one source, you deselect the sources and then you select the ones that you want it to generate from. So now we have the output here. So discard solid waste management and it's going to give me the output. As I said, this is good, but then when you configure NotebookLM, it's able to work so much better. When you have an output, you are going to see these numbers inside the output. As I said earlier, these are in-text citations. And so when you hover over the number, you can read more and to show you exactly where that information is coming from. So if you are seeing information on this line, up to the environmental aesthetics, right? It is going to show you where did it take that information from. It took it from this document, all right? And then you can see the text that is surrounding that information. You understand? If you see another button again beside it, it means that it's basically the same concept, but it's being said either in the same document or in another document. And so what Notebook allows us to do because of this is that instead of me reading all of these sources to be able to find information on that one thing I want to find about, right? When I type discuss solid waste management, NotebookLM is going to do that searching for me. So instead of me to go into each and every single one of these resources, Notebook is actually going to go through them and then give me the output that is relevant to the question that I've asked. And so you find out that instead of me to actually be reading this document, be reading another one, be reading another one, NotebookLM does them for me and then gives me the output like this. And so when you have all the sources selected, the output that is going to give you is basically more or less a summary. It's like it's taking what this book is saying, what this source is saying, what this source is saying, and adding all of them together. So when you have the summarized version like that, that's why you have the in-text citations. And so you can hover over the place and read more, which is very, very cool. Here you can see your time. So it just shows you like today's date. If you continuously use NotebookLM, it will show you today's date, yesterday's date, and all of that. Now, one last thing before we go. There isn't a search button in NotebookLM, and as you continuously use NotebookLM, you find out that things can somehow become cluttered. This was one of the features which was preventing me from using NotebookLM as my N or B or app, such that I was using Craft to be my external database for my studies because I can easily search for anything I want to search for. But I found a way. So using Control F, you can actually search for what you want in NotebookLM. Now, it's not a specific NotebookLM search. It's actually a search that you can do pretty much any web page. So Control F. And then if I want to search for understand, it's going to search for understand. So basically, we are going to use that concept of Control F searching the whole web page, right? Or the whole window to be able to search for stuff in NotebookLM. So if I want to search for waste, I have that. And then it's going to show me every single place that waste has been mentioned. So if you want to search for something in NotebookLM, this is the easiest way I've found to be able to do that. So if you want to search for something and you know the date that you did it, let's say you know the date you studied a particular topic, you can effectively just type that date inside it. So Control F has become a real lifesaver because with this we can search for information in all of the cluttered chat output, right, or the chat box. And so if you want to search for something real quick, you can. This is also very important or very useful when you have a lot of sources and then you want to search for a particular source with a particular name, right? So you can just do Control F and search for that source. So yeah, I mean, this first video has just taken us through every single thing that we need to know about the Notebook LM, what its usefulness are, the interface and how everything works like, how we can input sources. And yeah, this is pretty much just a first overview of Notebook LM. In the subsequent videos, I'm going to show you, okay, knowing all of this, right, we are going to delve deeper into how we can apply this in our medical school studies. Thank you.